Hey everyone, it's Lauren. Happy Advent, if that's a season that you celebrate. Either way, I'm believing everyone listening to this is anticipating Christmas. I think that's actually my favorite time of year. Anyways, I wanted to kind of reoffer something that I did last year. So during one of the hot takes last year, I went ahead and gave my tip-top advice for navigating the holiday dinner table. Because I know that many of you go to a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner table where hot button issues come up, like abortion or transgenderism, or again, name any hot thing right now. And you're probably wondering, like, how do I handle this well? How do I plant seeds? How do I have actually productive conversation? How do I know when to stop the conversation and walk away, right? These are all really important things that we have to consider as a people of faith and conscience. And so what I wanted to do was actually, because it got, big reviews last year, I wanted to go ahead and reoffer it for this year. Just know as you're listening to this that I'm praying for all of us right now as we continue our work in the culture battle. This is not an easy time in history to live. We're at a pivotal moment when it comes to the issues of life and family and beyond. And just know that I am with you in the trenches. I am cheering you on. I am praying for you. And I just want to encourage you to keep fighting the good fight from wherever you sit. And if you're somebody who does not agree with me on almost anything, I still welcome you here. And I still think that this is good advice for having a healthy, productive conversation with somebody that you disagree with. So no matter who you are, know that I love you, I treasure you, and I hope you'll keep coming back here to the Lauren Muzyka Show. Please leave a 5-star review if you think of it this holiday season. That helps get the podcast out to more people. And if you have any suggestions on what you want to see on the show in the coming year, please drop me a line at lauren@sidewalkadvocates.org. Again, that's lauren@sidewalkadvocates.org. And just know, again, I love you. I appreciate you. Have an amazing Christmas season. God bless. Okay, the holiday dinner table debate. Like I said, I'm coming off of a Thanksgiving dinner table debate a little bit that we're still learning from, right? But again, I think each and every one of us have to be able to navigate this well in order to enjoy the holiday and build relationship and really focus on the meaning for that particular season, right? So this is important. So I've got, I think, about 7 points here that I want to give all of you. So I'm going to rattle these off. Number one, I want you to know you are obviously, when politics or a hot topic comes up, you're not obligated to speak up. But I really encourage you to consider doing so if no one else is. Again, this maybe is just me, but I tend to be on the side that says if our side is not represented, if no one there is pro-life, pro-family, I love the idea of you saying something when a topic pops up, because this is how seeds are planted, right? And this is how hearts are eventually changed. It starts often with your simple witness. Don't worry if you are outnumbered, just do your best. You don't need to have a crowd there defending your point of view to get your point across. You're just there to plant seeds and let God have the rest, right? Now, the second thing is, guys, this might be like the top point in many ways. And I really felt like I just needed to say this. Please, please don't be weird. Please. And what I mean by that is, you need to be a winsome, normal, approachable person. You represent our side, and I really want to encourage you to not say things that may not make sense to other people. Like some people, when they're defending their point of view, they go right into Christianese, or, they might quote the Bible. And I want to be super clear. I believe in the authority of Scripture. I believe in the authority of God, but other people may not be coming from that point of view. And I don't even mean to label that as weird. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you are coming at people from a point of view that they may not relate to or understand, you're not going to be able to eventually get them to even accept the authority of God or Scripture, right? I think the bottom line question here is, this is what I want you to really think through. Why would any common sense person vote for who you did? And I want you to give a common sense human answer. Like, hey, I was really concerned about the economy. Or, hey, I'm really concerned about human rights of preborn human beings, right? Being approachable may make more of a difference than anything else, because if someone else can write you off as a weirdo, they'll also write off your point of view. That's the risk anyway. The other thing is to be peaceful and calm. And this is pretty simple. It makes people much more likely to want to converse with you and consider your point of view. So you don't want to come off as a hothead or somebody that goes from 0 to 10 right away, right? You want to make sure you leave the door open for the next holiday and the next holiday, because it could be that somebody begins to wrestle with a really big issue because of how you presented yourself and how you made yourself a safe place. Okay, the next point is, I really want to encourage you to understand where they might be coming from. Now, empathizing or understanding where someone might be coming from does not mean that you agree with them. It's just like you had a moment to think through from a human point of view, how you got to the vote that you did. Ask yourself, what is it that moved them to vote for who they did? Is there a human reason? Like maybe the way that they got there you don't agree with, but it will help you relate to them as a human being, and that can go so far, right? Those who are most angry, I have found it's usually for a reason. There's some people who have had an abortion experience or have a family member that had an abortion, or again, have had an experience with whatever that issue is. If you tell Aunt Edna diplomatically that you voted for life, and then all of a sudden she goes off, right? And she says that, because of you, women won't have access to emergency pregnancy services in pro-life states or something like that, you can let her know, hey, you know what? I'm pro-woman too. That's a concern for me too. So I totally understand. The good news is that emergency early delivery, ectopic pregnancy treatment, and miscarriage management is available in all 50 states. Now I get, y'all, I'm an attorney and I, live and breathe this stuff each and every day because of my job. So maybe you don't rattle it off that perfectly, right? I'm able to just kind of, speak to this because I've studied this, but at least giving some sort of witness. And again, this goes to education. We all need to get educated and be able to speak to these issues intelligently. Like if this is an issue for you, the life issue, if that's your top issue, got to be able to defend it somewhat, right? Again, you can put forward that you relate to what they're saying, and here's the good news, right? So you're not attacking them. You're not telling them why you're wrong. You're showing that you all actually agree with that value, which can be really beautiful. Okay, that really kind of bridges into an overall next point, and that is to just generally respond well. And there's kind of 4 general ways that you can respond to someone who is coming at you with a thought or an idea, or a debate starts in the room. You can joke back. You can challenge the idea respectfully. If someone is flat out rude, don't be afraid to set a boundary. And then the last thing is you might need to just ignore it and shake it off, right? Okay, so let's kind of walk through these really quickly. So the first one is to joke back. So let's say your sister's boyfriend walks in with his, I don't know, I'm making this up, "All conservatives must die" t-shirt, okay? Don't be afraid to laugh a bit. Put out your hand to shake his. He just walked into the room, right? And say, "Oh man, that's too bad. I was hoping we could be besties, but if I'm dead, it's going to be really hard," right? Like something cheesy like that. The idea is you just humanized yourself and our side, and you also found a light way to say, "Hey, I disagree with you, and that's okay. And I'm still a normal human being." Right? That can do a lot to kind of lay the groundwork for a further conversation. The second thing is to go ahead and challenge the idea respectfully. So let's say someone brings up the tragic case of Amber Thurman in Georgia, who recently died from complications after chemical abortion, or Nevaeh Crane in Texas, who died due to sepsis when they didn't properly triage her pregnancy situation. Let's say they're starting to blame that on pro-life laws. Let's say someone starts in and they go, so-and-so, they died because of pro-life state laws, and more women are needlessly going to die under the Trump administration. Well, you can step in and you can kindly inform them that these cases were actually due to medical malpractice, that no woman, this is a fact, guys, okay? If nothing else, point them to this podcast. And again, past episodes where I have unpacked this, that I've actually unpacked these medical cases. No woman has died because of a pro-life law. They haven't. Again, be calm, plant seeds. The truth is going to defend itself. And if you need to point to another source to defend your point of view, definitely do so. Don't worry about winning, just plant the seed. Okay, Last couple of options. If someone is flat out rude or uncharitable, don't be afraid to more boldly speak up and set a boundary. So if you're called a name or someone is caustic towards you, you can kindly stand up for yourself and say that they're out of line. Hey, Uncle Bob, I love you, and I know this election may have been really hard on you, but it's unfair to characterize me as a racist homophobe simply because I cast my vote to defend unborn babies and wanted better gas prices. I'm happy to continue the conversation after dinner, but I won't speak with you the rest of the evening if you call me names. I mean, that's good, not only for you, but for Uncle Bob too. He needs to know that he can't call people that. It's an opportunity for you to set a boundary. And then the last thing is you may just need to ignore it at one point. Don't let it ruin your holiday. Don't let it hurt relationships, important relationships and opportunities with other people. You may just need to shake it off. And, if you're in a group, just stay away from, Uncle Bob. Stay away from your sister's boyfriend. Be kind to them. Don't steal the last 2 rolls from your sister's boyfriend because you're ticked off at him. I mean, I don't know. Grab an extra roll, okay? But don't let them have that much power over you. Don't let it ruin your holiday. Don't let it ruin those opportunities for you to build relationship. And then the last couple things, don't be afraid to pray before or during a discussion if things might get hot. Prayer, I've seen this firsthand, prayer can change an atmosphere. So if someone is struggling, just quietly, and yes, guys, it's usually best if you pray in your head or whisper and not suddenly start praying out loud. Remember that don't be weird thing? Again, I am so pro prayer. You have no idea. I believe prayer changes things. I believe prayer can completely change the direction of a conversation or even someone's life. But it's just as powerful if you whisper a prayer for the room, okay? Don't be afraid to do that. And then the last thing, this is so important. I actually got even a little bit choked up as I was getting ready to read this. Keep in mind, you're not there to win an argument. You're there to win people. And I have found in my many years of being around some of these dinner tables or being in groups where a hot topic came up that I don't need to talk or yell over someone to plant a seed. In fact, that actually can work against me, right? Those seeds are important because someday it may change their minds. Again, if you get stuck or flustered or frustrated, you can point them to a resource, especially if you don't want to belabor the conversation. Because there is a point where it's just, hey, it's time to move on, right? You made your point. They made their point. You probably won't change their minds in one conversation, okay? And don't be afraid to point them to this podcast if you want. I've addressed a lot of the hot topics this season on the podcast in a short amount of time. There's other episodes that address aspects of abortion that people have not maybe yet wrestled with. And so you can absolutely recommend that as well. Okay, let me tell you about a time that I did not do this well. A couple years ago, I was hanging out with my side of the family in Houston, Texas, and I was with a member of my immediate family and then an aunt and uncle on my sister-in-law's side. And the topic of abortion came up, specifically abortion in the case of rape. Now, my family is very pro-life. They usually, on both sides, don't believe in any exceptions to that, right? But I do have a member of my immediate family that believes in abortion in the case of rape, incest, and the so-called life of the mother. Now, side note, life of the mother, abortion in the case of life of the mother, that is a misnomer. There is no need, there's no medical need to go in and directly kill a child to preserve the life of a mother. That is a medical fact. I can get you a slate of OB-GYNs that can speak to that. Now, it may be necessary to facilitate an early delivery because otherwise maybe both mom and child will die. And then once the delivery happens, the inadvertent side effect is that the baby may not survive. That's a common case, unfortunately, skyrocketing blood pressure or some other big issue, right? Again, that's a whole other show. So this family member says, I believe that women should be able to have an abortion after sexual assault or rape or something like that, right? And the aunt and uncle that were also there said, I agree. I do not know what came over me. I literally went into my phone. I pulled up a picture of my dear friend, very popular pro-life speaker named Paula Payton. And I turned to the three of them. I turned my phone around and I said, look at her. This is my friend Paula, who was conceived in rape. And then she conceived her precious son, Caleb, at gunpoint after gang rape. I said, tell me, because this picture was Paula holding Caleb. They're so beautiful, so precious to me, right? And I said, tell me about whether or not Paula deserved to be sucked into a jar and have her limbs ripped, one by one. And tell me that she deserves to not be here. Now, maybe a couple of those things, if I had just said them in a conversation, are not a big deal, but I was pretty loud about it. I'm sure I got red-faced, and I did it in a way that was a little caustic. And they shut down, like they shut up. I did have a friend who said, well, Lauren, Jesus kind of came in and sometimes he turned over tables, and maybe that's not so bad that you did that, because, how dare they say that these children are not worthy of life, right? And I can even speak to the other end of that with the mom. I have so many women that come back after having an abortion, after sexual assault, and they tell me that the abortion felt like a second rape. That they were violated once and then they turned to take the life of their child, and it compounded their trauma, compounded their pain. Again, a whole other show, right? But the thing that I was disappointed in is I think I had just written an email through the Sidewalk Advocates for Life listserv about how to handle a holiday dinner table well when it comes to abortion. And I'll tell you that was kind of uncharacteristic of me. Like, I was disappointed in myself for getting so angry so fast, being so forceful that it literally shut down conversation. That's not the goal. It's okay to be bold. It's just you have to listen to other people and understand that even if you disagree with them, it's an opportunity. Can we see these things as opportunities rather than things that may hurt us or ultimately, not having, again, some people don't even want to have the conversation and they're missing an opportunity to grow, both for themselves and invite other people to grow. In summary, 1 Peter 3 reminds us, in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience, so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander. For it is better, if it is God's will, to suffer for doing good than for doing evil. So my admonition to you is go for it. Have the tough conversation. Just do it in such a way that someone would be able to walk away and say, hey, we may not agree, but I really do like my niece or my girlfriend's brother, etc., right? Be light about it. And meanwhile, don't forget to be the light.